two brothers, one legendary last name, and a question that the entire dancehall world is afraid to answer out loud. Which son of the world boss is actually going harder in 2026? Because right now, Likkle Vybz and Likkle Addi are not just riding their father's wave anymore. They are creating their own tsunami, and the dancehall community is split right down the middle. Some people say Likkle Vybz has the star power. Some people say Likkle Addi has the hunger. But here is the thing nobody is talking about. There might actually be a tension quietly building between these two brothers that could change everything for the Gaza forever. Stay right here, because by the end of this video, you are going to see both of these young artists in a completely different light, and you are going to have a very strong opinion. Trust me, before we even get into the comparison, you have to understand the weight that these two young men carry every single day they wake up. Their father is Addi Azim Palmer, the man the world knows as Vybz Kartel, the king of dancehall, the world boss, a man so influential that Drake himself has named him as one of his biggest inspirations. That is the shadow you are born into when your last name is Palmer and your father is the most controversial, most celebrated, most streamed dancehall artist to ever touch a microphone. Most people would collapse under that pressure. Most people would disappear. But Likkle Vybz and Likkle Addi did not disappear. They leaned in. And now in 2026, we are watching two completely different artistic identities emerge from the same bloodline, and it is absolutely fascinating. Let us start with the older brother, Likkle Vybz, born Addi Azim Palmer, named after his father, which already tells you everything about the expectations placed on his shoulders from day one. From the very beginning, Likkle Vybz was the one who looked most like his father, moved most like his father, and carried himself with that same quiet confidence that made Vybz Kartel dangerous before he even opened his mouth. When he first started releasing music under the UTG, Uptown Gaza, banner, people were skeptical. They said he was just using the name. They said the talent was borrowed. But then the music started talking. Tracks like Fully Gaza alongside his father, Magneto, Me Bretta, Be Brave. These were not just songs writing a legacy. These were statements. Likkle Vybz was planting a flag and saying this lane is mine, not because of who my father is, but because of what I can do. And then 2026 happened. Likkle Vybz dropped Disgrace, a collaboration with his father Vybz Kartel and Pink Monkey, and the dancehall streets went crazy. The energy on that track was different. It was not a son trying to sound like his father. It was a young man standing next to his father as an equal, matching bars, matching presence, matching confidence. And then he followed it up with Buckle Up alongside TJ Tory, showing that he could operate outside of the family umbrella and still deliver. That is growth. That is an artist finding himself. And right now in 2026, Likkle Vybz is sitting at over 323,000 followers on Instagram, dropping music consistently and building a fan base that is starting to love him specifically, not just as Kartel's son, but as Likkle Vybz the artist. That distinction matters more than people realize. But now, and this is where it gets really interesting, we need to talk about Likkle Addi. Because if Likkle Vybz is the one who carries his father's name and presence, then Likkle Addi, born Akil Rahim Palmer, is the one who inherited his father's fire. And there is a difference. Likkle Addi is younger, but do not let that fool you for even 1 second. This young man moves with a boldness and a street credibility that you cannot manufacture. He does not just make music, he makes statements. And the streets have been responding to Likkle Addi in a way that is starting to turn some very important heads in the industry. Think about what Likkle Addi has been through publicly, and not just musically. In 2022, Likkle Addi publicly stated that he believed he was being targeted, and then 5 days later, police confronted him at his family home in St. Anne. That is not a comfortable situation for any young artist. That is real life pressing down on you while you are also trying to build a career. And yet, Likkle Addi did not slow down. He kept releasing music. He kept showing up. And that resilience, that refusal to fold, is exactly the kind of energy that builds legendary careers in dancehall. His music catalog speaks to that pressure too. Rich Fr, $, Top AD Game featuring his father, Black Card, with Vybz Kartel. These are songs with weight. These are songs about ambition, about proving yourself, about making it against all odds. And then in 2026, he dropped Hard Ears, his latest single that is already making noise. Likkle Addi's Time Is Now EP from 2025 featured a collab with his father on a track called Top AD Game. And that title alone feels like a personal mission statement. Here is what makes this comparison so compelling and honestly a little emotional when you really think about it. These two brothers started together. They were originally known as PG-13, Kartel Sons, performing as a unit, a duo, two young boys trying to carry a massive legacy with very small hands. Then they rebranded as UTG, Uptown Gaza, and they grew into their individual sounds. But the question the dancehall community keeps whispering is this: are they still truly unified, or is the natural competition of two talented brothers in the same lane starting to create distance? Because when you look at their social media, their music releases, their individual branding in 2026, you can see that they are increasingly operating as solo acts first and brothers second. That is not necessarily a bad thing. That is called becoming an artist. But it does raise a question about where UTG goes from here. And speaking of UTG, let us not skip over the fact that these brothers are not just musicians. They co-founded the UTG Initiative Foundation alongside their brother Icodon Palmer. And through that foundation, Likkle Vybz personally donated essential supplies to 6 schools in Portmore. Let that sink in. These are young men who grew up with a father in prison, navigating media scrutiny, family drama, paternity controversies, police pressure, and they still found the time and the heart to give back to their community. That is character. That is the kind of thing that separates artists who are here for the moment from artists who are building something that will last. Both brothers deserve massive credit for that. It shows that behind the music, behind the Instagram posts, behind the dancehall bravado, there are two young men who actually understand responsibility. But let us get back to the music debate because that is what you came here for. Stylistically, Likkle Vybz and Likkle Addi are more different than people give them credit for. Likkle Vybz leans into melody. He has a warmth in his delivery, a smoothness that makes his songs feel almost effortless even when the content is hard. When you listen to him, you feel the Kartel DNA in the flow, in the cadence, in the way he rides a rhythm like he was born on one. And honestly, he basically was. His voice has a quality that makes you want to replay tracks. That is a rare gift. In the streaming world, that replay value is everything because it drives numbers, and numbers drive deals, and deals drive legacy. Likkle Addi, on the other hand, is more confrontational. There is an edge in his delivery. He sounds like someone who has something to prove every single time he steps into a booth, and that energy is absolutely magnetic to a dancehall audience. When Likkle Addi spits a verse, there is a grit there, a rawness, that feels authentic in a way that even the most polished production cannot manufacture. You believe what he is saying because he sounds like he lived it. And in Jamaica, credibility is currency. You can have all the hit songs in the world, but if the streets do not rate you, your ceiling is limited. Likkle Addi has the streets, and that matters enormously for a dancehall career. Now here is the thing that nobody wants to say out loud, but everybody is thinking. Both of these brothers are massively boosted by the return of their father. When Vybz Kartel's conviction was overturned in early 2024 and he walked free after years behind bars, it was not just a personal victory. It was a cultural earthquake for the entire Gaza nation. And both Likkle Vybz and Likkle Addi felt that shockwave in their careers. Suddenly, their features with their father became more valuable. Suddenly, media attention on the family doubled. Suddenly, being a Kartel son was not just a legacy weight to carry, it was jet fuel. And both brothers are smart enough to use that momentum while also pushing their individual identities forward. That balance between family brand and personal brand is the most delicate thing they are managing right now in 2026, and how they navigate it will define the next 5 years of their careers. Also, their music's placement in Grand Theft Auto Online's The Contract expansion says something important about where they sit culturally. When your songs end up in one of the biggest video game franchises in the world, you have crossed over from regional act to global conversation. That is not small. That is the kind of organic cultural penetration that most artists spend millions of dollars trying to manufacture. And these two brothers got there through the music alone. So where does that leave us? Who is winning in 2026, Likkle Vybz or Likkle Addi? Here is the honest answer. In terms of raw streaming numbers and social media following, Likkle Addi currently holds a slight edge with over 372,000 Instagram followers compared to Likkle Vybz's 323,000. Likkle Addi's Time Is Now EP from 2025 showed real artistic range, and his 2026 single Hard Ears is already generating buzz. But Likkle Vybz is not sleeping. Disgrace in 2026 is his most confident release yet, and there is something about the way he commands a track alongside his father that suggests his ceiling might be higher than people currently believe. Likkle Vybz feels like a slow burn. Likkle Addi feels like a flame that is already burning hot right now, and maybe that is the real story. Not who is better, but what role each brother is playing in the larger Gaza story. Likkle Vybz is the long game. Patient, melodic, building something generational. Likkle Addi is the immediate impact player, urgent, gritty, demanding your attention right now. A dance hall needs both kinds of artists, and a family needs both kinds of sons. What makes the Kartel legacy so fascinating is that it did not produce one copy of Vybz Kartel. It produced two completely distinct artists who each took different parts of their father's DNA and amplified it through their own lived experiences, their own personalities, their own art. That is rarer than people realize. Most celebrity children either fade into obscurity or become pale imitations. Likkle Vybz and Likkle Addi are becoming originals. And that is the most exciting thing happening in dancehall right now. Because think about what we are potentially watching, that we might be witnessing the beginning of a dynasty, a Kartel family takeover of dancehall that lasts not one generation but two. With their father back and more active than ever, dropping his God in Time album in June 2026 with over 33 new tracks, and both sons releasing music simultaneously and growing their individual fan bases, the Palestinian is not just returning to the top of dancehall. The entire Gaza family is ascending together. And if both Likkle Vybz and Likkle Addi continue growing at this rate, if they keep finding their individual sounds, keep making music that connects, keep building their credibility both in Jamaica and internationally, then 5 years from now, we may look back at 2026 as the year the next generation officially arrived. The only question left, and this is the one you need to answer right now in the comments, is which brother do you think has the higher ceiling? Do you think Likkle Vybz's smooth, melodic style has what it takes to dominate the global stage the way his father did? Or do you think Likkle Addi's raw energy and street credibility is the formula that wins in 2026 dancehall? And here is the bonus question that I really want to see you debate. Do you think the brothers will ever clash? Because in dancehall, sometimes the biggest rivalries come from the closest places. We have seen it before. We have seen brotherhoods fracture under the pressure of fame and competition. Is UTG bulletproof? Or is there a moment coming that will test it? Drop your answer below right now. Tell me, Team Likkle Vybz or Team Likkle Addi? And if you think both brothers are equally cold, let me know that too, because this comment section is about to be a whole debate, and I want to see every single opinion. Gaza forever, but which Gaza son is running 2026? You decide.